and how it has changed with the zeitgeist and all that entails. So we've got, these are the movies I'm going to go through with Universal just randomly thrown in there. And if you haven't seen the movies, bye. Okay. So,
yeah, I don't care. I'm not going to get round to seeing them.
Hannah is a mutant fairy tale about a genetically engineered super soldier girl who was raised in the wilderness by a rogue secret agent adopted father with one motto: adapt or die. In very wreck here, those who've seen that film. So they call her an it. Here she is escaping from the facility where she's been trapped. Now, the movie is as much about her discovering herself as it is overcoming. Well, it's basically Little Red Riding Hood. Here, she finds out that she's abnormal. Here we have the symbolism of the big bad wolf. So we have, what's her name again? The Aussie girl. Here, this wolf, and she's an evil witch. And let's skip to the end. And it ends with her saying, "I just missed your heart." This is how she kills the Earth's side as it began. The point, the moral of the story, is that she's just fine, right? It's not a story where it's she has to be saved, she saved herself, she doesn't have to other fairy tales, etc. This is the thing, because I haven't timed this at all. On to Limitless.
That was only 2 minutes, so I think you're okay.
Really?
Yeah.
95 slides.
Do you want to...
Here we have Eddie.
95 slides is a 2-hour lecture.
I'll keep going then.
Yeah.
You have Eddie on his first dose of NZT, who can now see. This is your brain on NZT. This is an actual tie-in to the movie. They had a website where unfortunately you couldn't actually buy the drug. But, you know, you can hope. So this is a, not mutant, but self-directed human evolution, one clear tablet at a time. Now, he writes a book, so at the start, when we go back here, he's a struggling writer with scraggly hair and, you know, can't relate to that. But the book film is based on, is then in the film, except that the ending, in the original book, the morality tale is that he has to pay the price, right? There's a cost, but not in that he won. And in this interview, they talk about the fact that they felt that the audience would want him to win, right? That was a change in the zeitgeist, as we say. But there's a cost. So here we have him, I don't know whether you can tell, there's some magic mirror, that's blood. So he's drinking the blood of another guy who has the drug in his system so that he can power and think his way out of it. Now, one of the interesting effects of the drug is that they're not just able to access all their memory and have 20% of your brain, blah, blah, blah. They can step outside themselves. Right? So here we have his girlfriend thinking her way through it and just looking back on herself. So, yeah, so this is another version of the upgrade myth, where the first thing he has to overcome is his previous self, then he adapts. So in the beginning he starts glitching because he's just throwing down the drug and working away, and then he has to figure his own path using the drug to upgrade himself. But he doesn't become the monster. So we've got 3 paths. Okay, imagine this picture here for those who've seen the movie. But he walks the middle path. Right? So then we have his victory condition. Now this is the book, except they've changed the name so you can't really read that. Can you see that at the back?
No.
Okay, so the book the film is based on is called The Dark Fields, and the book within the film, which is the book itself that he writes, is I think it's Enlightening the Dark Fields. So they've upgraded the book itself as well. And as that says, they form a team. So now we're on to Chronicle. Has anyone actually seen Chronicle? It's good. Now, when we say it's a recapitulation of 2001, so we've got a external object that comes in from a mysterious place, and here we have Steve Montgomery, and it's literally dripping the sweat. And if we animated this, you can see that the crystal grows. It's universal. This is a paradigm shift. Everything you know has changed. Please remain calm. So this is another tale of upgrades with 3 different paths. So we have our angry young Akira to foreshadow it. We have our Schopenhauer quoting to cool for school kid, and we have the popular guy who is the popular one. Alright. Now, they're teenagers, right? You suddenly get new abilities, you start messing with people. So here they are.
Because they have no empathy or sense of consequences.
Well, they're learning. And, you know, so they go to a diner and they make the Virgin Mary appear in a suit and freak the hell out of this chick. And why it matters is in this scene, I don't know which one. Okay. There's an extra monologue where we see it. So at the start, Matt is all like, school sucks and whatever, and I'm going to read Schopenhauer and, you know, go all is will. And then in this scene, he's like understanding and he's growing, and he says, you know, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a cop, and now, you know, I think I should serve. That matters. Because his path has to come up against this guy, who's our angry young hero, right? This is where he's embracing his power, and he's in a dark, tortured teen, beat up by his dad and bullies and stuff. So here he's saying, you don't feel guilty when you squash a fight. That works, awesome. Which is a bit like Loki, right? Just in case you don't think they're the villain. He's the villain, right? So here's another quote from the universe to give a small context. So when we have a new species come along, it predates on the old one. Maybe, right?
Not if it doesn't help their niche.
Well, yeah. Okay. Go forward.
Tomorrow, people.
There's a tale here. I haven't read that. But there's an adaptation coming out, but we'll come back to that.
Another one?
Yeah. So the point, for me, is that angry young... Go back again. He needs some guidance, right? It's hard to figure it all out by yourself. So here he is standing, that's where the mysterious object lives, and it's got a nice little spiral pattern. We never actually explained where it comes from. He's outside the tree of speciation, right? And then this is when he goes full Akira. Everyone knows what Akira is?
No.
Akira is
More people
the
than
Japanese
Chronicle.
movie,
Yeah.
the actual Akira guy wasn't the guy that went loony, that was one of his friends.
Exactly.
No,
That's
That's not.
Exactly. So here we have our middle pathway standing up for his friend. Right? They're cousins, actually. And just in case you don't think it's Akira, here we have the same scene with Akira. So once more, we've got the middle path, the successful one. Josh Trank is the director. So he gives us this superhero origin myth with video game aesthetics. It's very much influenced by video games. So the camera's constantly moving around. And they do that by going, well, they have telekinesis, so they can just, because it's found footage. Anyway, let's keep going. X-Men first path. Mutant and Proud. Right? The X-Men are pretty much the mutant poster children. Now, Who's the villain, right? Xavier or Magneto? So I'm just going to skip. Can we read that? This is the key scene in the film where they talk about, they're debating. It's two sides that, they're playing chess, right? So he's Magneto, for those who are, they won't know a difference. Furious. Feels under hatred, right? It's channeling Yoda here. Not if we can stop the war, right? But would they do the same for us, you see? Well, we already are. Right? The next stage of human evolution. So again, they're outside the tree of speciation. Will they battle their own extinction? Or is it arrogance?
I always think that when there's speciation, that one of them goes extinct. Because there's lots of things that descended from exactly the same common ancestor, and they're all still around.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you've also got the myth that humans could opt with Neanderthals when DNA is showing that we all interbred and we're one sort of super species. But yes. But anyway, he's a Holocaust survivor. He knows
the dark side.
The dark side. When people get power, what can happen. Now, I did this the other night. If you watch Hannibal Rising, right, which is another origin story in World War II, Hannibal goes around eating the hearts of his enemies and such. So Magneto, maybe he's the moderate, right? He doesn't go that bad. And here he is evangelizing again. This mystique. Right, you're only paying half attention. You are. So she changes. She stops pretending, and she has more power. So she wants society to accept you. You can't even accept yourself. You see? It's a Manhunter reference. His society won't accept us. We form our own. And it's like that. Now we play ours. Who's with me? I'm with him.
You are. Yeah.
Now we're on to Rise of Planet of the Apes. We love it. Okay, good.
It's only 12.5 minutes.
Of 2001.
You could.
So here we have, instead of a external device like in Chronicle, it's genetic engineering. They're trying to cure Alzheimer's, right? And here we have the identity crisis. You're, again, outside the tree. You're the first of a new species, right? Caesar is the son of a test subject, and he's taken him home and adopted him and raised him, and he's going, well, who am I, right? I'm not a human, obviously. Where am I? He's raised by humans, aware of his own difference. This, it's like the hand of God, the old Michelangelo thing. So the father of, essentially his grandfather, is not using the fork properly, and Caesar's correcting him. So he's helping, it's the client helping the master, everyone said. But the key point, right, he goes back and gets more of the magic serum, right? Goes in, frees his brethren in body and mind. So here we have him, does that show up? Yeah. So he goes back to the primate prison and frees his friends in body and mind, so he makes them smarter. Here we have Draco being a right, critic, right? And he cops it. And this is where Caesar speaks for the first time. Screams out, no! Right? And then he raises the taser of resistance. Right? And, takes how many slaves? It begins. So here we have, so they've gone by now, they've freed them from the zoo, they've gathered all of San Francisco's apes together. And yeah, you've got your Planet of the Apes happening now. Now, futurist Alex Steffen says we should be good ancestors. He's talking about the climate, he's saying what we do today, affects our children. But our children can be mutant, ape, or robot, right? All together. And yes, this is my philosophy. That we extend personhood to everyone, that we can anthropomorphize. And I think Magneto would agree that we form a super society. Who's with Magneto? Who's with Xavier?
I find these post-human movies are all very. They all suffer from the same. Well, some of them are very good, but and very watchable and entertaining, and they do raise issues. But I always feel that they suffer from the same problem that all like first superhero movies seem to suffer from, where they've got origin story problems, where like you don't actually see society shaping or reshaping and how it actually impacts as they begin to form communities of the superhero persons, except for First Class, where basically you see where what's going to start to happen, but of course we haven't got a sequel yet.
The comic books can explore that further.
Yeah.
And you've got the new X-Men run with Grant Morrison, where they form their own Genosha, which I should have worn that t-shirt.
Yeah. But although those are different continuities, and I'm always interested in seeing, because Magneto gets reinterpreted pretty much with each author. Seeing like a continuous run of that, sort of like how Walking Dead has actually attempted to explore in a continuous run the way society changes under the apocalypse.
The Walking Dead?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they actually, because it's a long form narrative, the way society, you have different experiments with different types of governments, policy issues. Similarly, Planet of the Apes, I'm looking forward to the next movie, which will hopefully have the next, like...
Exactly. It was a surprise hit. They weren't expecting it to do quite so well.
Well, I suppose there's something in it. There's another mutant or other being that's human-derived. Should we extend love and good grace?
Sorry, I missed this.
You raised something interesting. Talking about the
zombies.
The Walking Dead. So we've got very agreeable, sexy mutants who do wonderful things, and we've got post-human people with psychic powers. You've got another kind of being there, which is clearly related to people. Should you extend the same philosophy to the...
Well, they sort of...
To the zombies?
Yeah, they explore that in Warm Bodies, hilariously enough.
Yeah, have you seen Warm Bodies?
I love
That's got a sexy zombie.
That sort of
Well, I can't tell sexy.
Yeah. Sorry,
I have no
I
ability.
just derailed. Sorry, what I was meant to say is it'd be really nice to see now that the concept of posthumans obviously really imbuing pop culture to a critical point. We can now begin to see the long-form narratives emerge, because except for in the comics and Wild Cards, which is the George R.R. Martin series with the posthumans, it's never really been pushed as far as you'd expect.
What's it called? Wild Cards?
Wild Cards. It's a very old series. It's been going for about 20 years. And it's a mosaic series. It's what he was doing before Game of Thrones.
Did he finish it?
Oh, that. Right. Interesting.
Yeah. So you can imagine what the villains are like in that.
Dragon Ball.
Well, no, George R. R.
That would be a cool mutation.
Yeah. Well, Wild Cards is basically an event. It mutates all of. I think it's a city. I'm not very familiar with it. I've only read a couple of stories. And people are basically, it's like they've been pulled cut on deck. They're jokers, which means that they've been mutated really badly, and they don't have any power, but they just look ugly as sin. And then you have the powered up ones that look normal, and then you have the ones that have been changed in different ways that and people decide to be good or evil, and you have weird historical things like Frank Zappa continuing to be a member of the military and leading armies and stuff. So it's an interesting little setting, and it does actually have an examination of what happens to society with a superpowered populace. Similarly with Top 10, although Top 10 is also a bit different. Alan Moore's City of Superheroes. It's so good. It's basically Hill Street's Blues, if anyone remembers Hill Street Blues before NIPD Blue.
Wild Cards is going to be made into a comic.
And they're doing
Oh,
it
it's been in a comic for a while, hasn't it? I'm pretty sure it's been adapted pretty much everywhere except for in video games at this point.